Hello, lovely booktubers. I'm Debs. Welcome back to my channel, Raina Reads Stuff. I'm here in the book shack. The camera is at slightly a different angle, and I'll tell you why in a bit. It's April the 30th. Well, it isn't, but it will be by the time you see this. And that means tomorrow is May the 1st. For those of you who have been along on booktube for a long time, you probably know that that is the beginning of Horror Mayhem. I am unbelievably excited about this. I didn't take part last year because I wasn't on booktube last year. So this will be my first Horror Mayhem. Now, there are an awful lot of co-hosts. This event was started by the Bookish Bryants. Unfortunately, they're unable to take part this year, but I will list all the great co-hosts in the description. Check out their videos because they've got loads of suggestions. Week 1, there are prompts for every week. Week 1 is local horror. I have found this. Nottinghamshire folk tales. There's a lot about Robin Hood in here, but that's not horror. However, there is a chapter called Tales from the Dark Side that includes 9 stories that looks as though we are covering the devil, ghosts, and vampires. So, I think I will start with that. But also, for horror, for local horror, I've got this, The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor. It might not be based in Nottingham, but she is. She's a Nottinghamshire author. So that is my local horror ticked. Next up is movie horror, and I am going to go with Carrie by Stephen King because it's a thin book, and also, although I've read it, I haven't read it for decades. So that will be my choice for movie horror. Classic horror I haven't decided on yet, but I have plenty to go on. I have things like Frankenstein and Dracula, and I've got a Sheridan Le Fanu collection. I've got an H.P. Lovecraft collection, so I'm not worried that I won't find anything in there. I've got that covered, although I just haven't decided what it is. And finally, on the 4th week, it's contemporary horror. The Terror by Dan Simmons. Now, this isn't a small book. It suggested that their book's under 250, and this is twice that. So I'm bending the rules a bit. In fact, it's 3 times that. But I'm reading this for another reason as well. There's a group read of it, which I am taking part in, and I'm also reading it for Spring into Adventure, which is continuing this month. So, that is my choice of contemporary horror. I do have other choices as well, but I think I'll go for that. Now, that's the 4 weeks covered. But there's more. There's a bingo card. Now, these beautiful graphics were done by MJ and completely ruined by my printer, which is running out of ink, but I couldn't be bothered to go and get some ink and do it again. There are 36 prompts on here. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you will know that I cannot resist a bingo card. I hate bingo. I really don't like it at all. You'd have to drag me No, actually, wild horses probably couldn't drag me to a bingo game. But when it comes to bingo cards on booktube, that is a completely different matter. Here, this is last August's Garb August bingo card. Do you see this? Do you see that? I failed. I failed to find a book with a cigarette ad in it. I did everything else, but I failed. I am not going to fail this time. Horror Mayhem has 36 bingo card slots. And I'm going to read them all very quickly. Universal Monsters, graphic novel, cult horror, indie horror, personal horror. I don't like spiders. I might have to find a spider story. Haunted house, possession, religious horror, body horror, slasher. Killer animals, horror adjacent, translated horror, diverse author, kidnappings, psychological horror, extreme horror, cozy horror, based on a true story, cannibalism, elemental, folk horror, ghost, witches, cryptic, cosmic, home invasion, aliens, curses, dolls, clowns, holiday, evil children, techno, and dystopian horror. I know no one was counting, but there's one I've missed. Deliberately. That's the green one. That is in honour of Pax from Pax Panic, who sadly died about this time last year. And I never interacted with her because I wasn't on booktube before then. But from what I've seen and what I've heard, she was a fantastic person. And her bingo square is to read a book with a green cover. This is going up here. And this is going to be completely green by the time I have finished. I am not going to fail on this one. Definitely not going to fail on this one. So, let me show you what I've got, because I've been planning this. Physical books. I went and hooked out all the little black classics that I have that seem to be horror-ish. So I have The Terrors of the Night by Thomas Nash, Elizabethan. I have The Figure in the Carpet by Henry James. I have Brothers Grimm, The Robber Bridegroom. Now this, and I did look it up, there's another one that I can't remember, is apparently the darkest of the Grimm stories. I have Wailing Ghosts. These delightful miniature tales of macabre hauntings, monsters and magic tricks. Classical China's greatest stories. This is by Pu Songling. I have The Gate of 100 Sorrows by Rudyard Kipling. And I have Circles of Hell by Dante. And that's just to start with. I have Classic Tales of Horror, Volume 2, which includes work by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu, Mary Shelley, M.R. James, George Eliot, Edgar Allan Poe, Amelia Edwards, Henry James, Edith Wharton, E. Nesbit, Ambrose Bierce, Bram Stoker, H.P. Lovecraft, Robert Louis Stevenson, W.W. Jacobs. I think there's quite a lot in there. We have The Whispering House by Elizabeth Brooks, Haunted House. I have The Woman in Black by Susan Hill, and I have The Mist in the Mirror by Susan Hill. Both possibilities. The Penguin Complete Grimm's Tales for young and old. I have The Furthest Station. This could be horror adjacent. complete stories of Edgar Allan Poe. Ghost Stories by M.R. James. And The Supernatural Omnibus. Hauntings and Horror. These were published first, I think, in the 1930s. And we have many of the usual suspects, but more. Now, if you think that's slightly excessive, I haven't finished. Twice a week, I do a 3-hour car journey. And I listen to Audible books. That gives me 24 hours over the next 4 weeks, just in the car. So, I have on my Audible playlist Chilling Ghost Stories, Vintage Vampire Stories, the book of the word I can't say, Cthulhu. I have no idea how to pronounce it, and I have no idea what it is. But I've got a book of them, volume 2. I have The Eldritch Tales by H.P. Lovecraft, The Best Horror of the Year, volume 8, Classic Monsters Unleashed, and a book called The Riverman by R.B. Croft. So that should keep me going. Actually, one of those is 24 hours on its own. Then, got a bit carried away. So I found myself a graphic novel, and then I raided Kindle Unlimited, and I stole quite a few books from the play list of possibilities that Alex from Alex on a Bridge put up. So I have lots of things. Lots of things. But it goes on, you see, because then I discovered something called mega packs on Kindle. And so I have an E.F. Benson mega pack, a horror mega pack, a monster mega pack, haunts and horrors mega pack, the word I can't pronounce mega pack, and a steampunk mega pack. Don't know why I can't speak. Each one of those books cost me less than 99p. The cheapest one, I think, was 30p and has something like 25 stories in it. That's why I went mad. On top of that, I have Delphi books, delphiclassics.com. I've gone a little bit mad on those as well. I have 3 volumes of Masters of the Short Story. I have Ghost Stories. I have Masters of Gothic Horror. Oh, there's more. I've got Short Horror Stories, Volume 5. Violations, which is erotic horror. Too Scary to Read. And then I've got some old ones, like The Book of Werewolves and The Blood of the Vampire by Florence Marryat. I also have lots of individual authors known for horror books. So, let's move on to Google Play. See all those? They're all horror books. And I have things in here like collections. I've got Kanaki the Ghost Finder, I have dark fairy tales. And then I've got some things I've never heard of. The darkness within ourselves. I have The Exorcist here. I think I've got this covered. Now all I have to do is read them. And you'll be able to see how I'm doing. Because these will be marked off with this lovely green pen. There are other events I'm taking part in May. Spring into Adventure continues. Historathon continues. 24 in 24, the banned books continues. And there's also Middle Grade May. I mean, how much fun could it talk about opposite ends of the spectrum? I'm going to read a load of middle grade books and I'm going to read a load of horror books. But I am going to check off every single thing on this bingo card. And not only that, I'm going to do them with different books. No doubling up. The reason I think I'm going to be able to do this is because this is short fiction. I don't have to read a novel for each of these. I'm not sitting there thinking, right, okay, that's 40 novels to be read in May for Horror Mayhem. You can do short stories. I can do little books. All is good. Thank you for watching. Please let me know if you're taking part. I would love to know what you're reading. Have a fabulous May reading, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye for now.